Annual state final. They're led by sophomore left wing Jim Dowd, who has scored a state record 112 points this season. In tonight's title clash, Brick takes on defending state champ St. Joseph's of Montvale. Everybody gets into the scoring for the Green Knights. They have 7 players who have scored 20 or more points this year. Tonight, St. Joseph's defends its title against Brick on the TV3 Action Arena. This is the Mennen Arena in Morris Township, and tonight TV3 Sports presents high school hockey. It's the 10th annual state championship as Brick takes on St. Joseph's. Hi everyone, I'm Matt Laughlin. We welcome you to the state final, and it should be a very exciting game, a rematch of the 1984 state game. St. Joseph's won that game against Brick, and St. Joe's comes in as the defending state champion. And when all the teams got together back at the beginning of the winter season, this is the goal they aimed for. Only 2 teams have made it, Brick and St. Joe's, and we're ready for an exciting 3 periods of hockey. Working with me on tonight's game is our usual commentator, Pete Caggiano. And Pete, these teams have met 3 times now this year. St. Joe's won the first matchup. Brick has come back to win the last 2, so St. Joe's is looking to break a 2-game losing streak against the Green Dragons.
I believe St. Joe's can do it. St. Joe's coming off the successful campaign of last year where they won the entire state championship, and as you mentioned, coming off a 4-game winning streak now, they're gelling at the right time. They should propose a tough test for Brick tonight.
We've seen both of these teams earlier in the season. St. Joseph's defeated Seton Hall Prep over at South Mountain Arena. And then last month we saw this very same Brick team really drill a very fine Montclair team. So we're familiar with these 2 teams, but there have been some changes. We'll talk about the St. Joe's change in just a minute. We'll talk about the similarities. And the similarity between this Brick team and the one we saw last month is that they score a lot of goals, especially from their front line. And Jim Dowd, well, he set a state record.
Jim Dowd this year with 112 points. That is the highest any high school player has ever scored in one season. He eclipsed the old record of 111 just the other night in the semifinals.
And he's only a sophomore, scored 57 goals, added 55 assists. Those are impressive statistics, and in fact, you were telling us just how impressive they are going back to your days as a high school hockey player. They really compare quite favorably.
They leave him in the dust, Matty, not even close.
Meanwhile, as we said, Brick stays pretty much the same. Very powerful front line, good defense. St. Joe's has undergone a lot of changes. They've lost some players to academics. They've lost some players to injury and to illness. And they're going to have a sophomore in the goal tonight, and he's only making his 4th appearance as a starter, and the pressure's on him.
The fellow's name is Andy Barish. He's just a sophomore, but he's a good one. In the game the other night where they played against Montclair, he did an excellent job. I think he can do the job for them tonight, and I think the coach thinks so as well, because Frank Horan has no question at all about putting the youngster in, and he knows he can do the job.
Frank Horan's very proud of this team. It's a very young club, and no one really expected them to be able to get back here again this year, coming off a 26-0-1 season last year. They graduated a lot. One player, Max Middendorf, went up to Canada to play Junior A hockey. So they've got mostly freshmen and sophomores, a couple of juniors, but they're back here.
They keep the tradition going. They know what it takes to win. The players are young, but they played last year. They were on the squad. They know what leadership can do. And where Max has left, somebody else has come in. Eric Reisman has come in to fill that void and has been their leader. So although they lost a few players and it's a young club, they're not without character.
We've set the scene for you. We've told you what players to keep an eye on. But what do the coaches think about tonight's matchup? Well, we spoke with both Bob Oriema of Brick and Frank Horan of St. Joseph's and got their thoughts.
I'll tell you, it'll take a heck of a team effort. We've had a tough series for the past couple of years with St. Joe's. They're a real super team, and it'll take a total effort and good goalie performance as well to keep them off.
To beat Brick, we'll probably have to come up with a better game in our defense and a little more offense, because Brick is probably one of the best teams around. They have a good offense and good defense, and they're well balanced. And we're a young team, which is a lot of sophomores, and they're just learning. And they're coming on. I'm very proud of my team. I think we can give them a good game.
Well, we hope that it's a good game. Brick and St. Joe's battling it out for the state championship from the Mennen Arena. We'll come back with the opening face-off right after this.
the fun. Bring home the good times.
A real fine facility, the Mennen Arena in Morris Township, the site of the 10th annual state high school hockey championship. Brick set to square off against St. Joseph's. As we take a look at Eric Kern receiving some encouragement from his teammates, we'll give you the starting lineup for the Green Dragons. Jim Dowd is the left wing, Spencer Madsen the center, Peter Morris the right wing. And on the defense, Bob Burgess and Chip Tolley. And in the goal tonight, Eric Kern, a senior, first team All-Stater last year as a goalie. He has split time this year with a fellow senior, John Senior, but Eric Kern gets the nod tonight. Meanwhile, for St. Joseph's, their left wing, Adam Passamonte, the center, Dave Gaddy, Rich Brandy, the right wing, Rich Schelling and Eric Reisman are the defensemen. And in goal, they have Andy Barish. Barish, a sophomore, has played in 3 games, 8 goals allowed, 2.7 goals against average. And we have a false start, so we'll face it off again. The officials for tonight's game. On the left-hand side of your screen is Jim Flaherty, and to the right, Ed Holmes. Loud crowd and a large crowd on hand for tonight's game. Brick has brought a host of fans. Here's Madsen with the big slapper that goes wide. Let's see if they try to put pressure on in the early going on the sophomore goalie. He's got to be nervous, Pete.
Matt, he sure is. In fact, he only showed up a half hour before game time tonight, so he did not have much time to do some mental preparation.
We'll have a penalty, and Brick will be down a man as Dave Gaddy was pulled down, and a holding penalty called. And sitting it out will be Rich Kale. Rich Kale pulling down Dave Gaddy along the far boards, and a power play situation for the Green Dragons. Or excuse me, for the Green Knights. If we get our Greens confused, you'll understand. Maybe we'll just call them Dragons and Knights tonight.
Matty, the penalty coming only 30 seconds into the first period is now going to put some pressure on Eric Kern. But if there's any difference in the lineups tonight, I would say that is the only one. The advantage Brick has in goaltending with Eric Kern versus St. Joe with Andy Barish.
Here's Gaddy, and we have a whistle. I think 2 guys are going to go off. Both will go off. High sticking will be the call, and both teams will lose a player. So it will be still a one-man advantage for St. Joe's, but a little more room on the ice.
A 19 green, 16 white, minors each, high sticking.
Jim Flaherty on the call there. Matty, both players were battling, jockeying for position in front of the net. And although they bumped once, at the request of the referee, they did not separate. They hit 2 second and a third time, and at that point, Flaherty saw enough and whistled both players off. But as you mentioned, this really opens up the ice for St. Joe's.
John Severini sitting it out for Brick, and Rich Brandy off for St. Joe's. St. Joe's keeps it in. This is Adam Passamonte in the corner, plays it off the boards behind the net for Dave Gaddy. Gaddy, the sophomore center, watched by Bob Burgess. Gaddy bangs it off the boards to the point. And now puck comes free, and here's a race. Jim Dowd comes in on Barish, and a goal! Short-handed goal for Jim Dowd, and that is his 58th goal of the year.
Jim Dowd really turning on the Jets, picked up the loose puck at the blue line and came in against Andy Barish, deep to his backhand and tucked one home. Here, we'll take a look at it. Dowd deflecting the errant pass and now catching up to the loose puck as he comes in from about 15 feet out. Here's when he goes to his backhand. Barish sticks out the right leg, but not quick enough, and we have a 1-goal advantage.
And the Brick fans celebrate. A 1-0 lead, that goal coming at the 1:11 mark of the first period. A short-handed goal. St. Joe's still has a man advantage for a minute 14.
Now, Matty, I'd like to know how nervous is Andy Barish. The first shot on goal against him goes in. That really has to hurt.
Craig Connolly tries to knock it up along the far boards. Dave Gaddy has it for St. Joe's. Gaddy watched by Pete Morris. Gaddy into center ice. Gets around the defense. Tries to pass it out in front. It's knocked away by Morris. And Morris takes a long slapper, deflects off of Gaddy, and comes down the other end of the ice. Here's Craig Connolly. 37 seconds left in the man-up situation, then the teams will skate at 4-a-side. Here's Gaddy. Gaddy in on goal. And he scores to knot it up, putting it past Eric Kern. And the St. Joe's side erupts.
What a nice play by Dave Gaddy. He came down the right side, he pulled Kern out, and then beat him to the short side with a nice, easy shot.
A power play goal for Dave Gaddy, his 19th goal of the year. Well, we've seen some fireworks, and we've only had 2 minutes and 3 seconds recorded in the book.
Matty, both goals are similar in the fact that the players came down uncontested and were able to go one-on-one against the goaltender. And in both times, both Gaddy as well as Dowd made nice moves to beat the goalie.
The teams are at even strength. 33 seconds left in the penalties to Severini and to Brandy.
St. Joseph's goal is scored by number 10, David Gaddy. Unassisted. A power play goal at 2:03 of the first period.
Puck in the corner. Try to play it out in front. Kept in. Shelling shot goes wide. Here comes Jim Dowd. Dowd opened today's game with a goal. Across the blue line. Drops it for Madsen, and it's intercepted. And will come back the other way. A little bit of confusion as the teams look to make a change. At center ice, long slap shot deflected off of the glass behind the net. Puck along the near side. Burgess plays it behind the net for Chip Tolley. Tolley clears it up the boards, knocked in by Reisman. St. Joe's keeping some pressure on as the puck is still in the zone. Slap shot goes wide as Kern had to spread the legs and try to kick the puck clear. And Kern will fall on it as the puck comes to him. Wants to get a face-off, let his team regroup just a little bit.
Matty, St. Joe's took full advantage not only of their power play time, but also at the even strength time. They kept the pressure on Kern. Kern not having to come up with any big saves. The shots were wide, but the pressure and the puck in that zone for that length of time can only mean trouble.
There's Bob Oriema, Brick head coach. Started out as an assistant to Warren Wolf when the program was a club team. When it went varsity, he took over as the head coach. Here's Dowd with the slap shot. It's between Barish, and he squeezes it, and then Barish got a little poke in the mask for good luck. But I don't think we're going to see anybody go off.
There we take a look at Jim Dowd, 57 goals, 58 goals now with the one earlier. Here he comes with the hard slap shot. It's about 30 feet out from the top of the circle. Now watch Barish with the right pad, gets a piece of it, it hits his left pad, and then he's smart enough to cover up so there's no rebound. He's definitely in the game at this time.
11:19 left in the first period. We are tied at 1. And now we have a whistle, and someone's going to sit it out. Slashing penalty is issued.
And I believe it's against number 22.
Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens. That was behind the play, Matty. The faceoff was in one corner. That happened way on the other side. Jim Flaherty, the back official on that, saw it. And Stevens, who was a tenacious player, got a little carried away that time. And again, they will give St. Joe's another 2-minute advantage.
First minor penalty to number 22, Dan Stevens. 2 minutes for slashing and 3:45.
So another power play situation for St. Joe's. Here's Burgess. Burgess sends it in off the boards. Connolly tracks it down behind the net. Looks to play it up off the boards, but it's intercepted by Spencer Madsen. Now Eric Reisman has it for St. Joe's. 11 minutes even left to play in the first period. Matt Laughlin along with Pete Caggiano. Reisman sends it in deep, and the chase is on. Dowd has it, bangs it off the boards. Connolly can't keep it in. And now this is Dave Gaddy. Gaddy across the blue line. Gaddy has a goal. He takes a shot on, and it's kicked out by Kern. Big slap shot deflected in front wide. They try to poke it in along the near side. Now we have a whistle. We're going to have cross-checking called against St. Joseph's. Make it interference.
2 white, minor interference.
Interference against Adam Passamonte, and he'll sit it out for 2 minutes. So a lot of penalties called in the early going, Peter.
Not what I expected, Matty, but the penalties they called, they had to call. They're either the type that are going to prevent a goal or cause an injury. And at that time, right there, Adam Passamonte just leveled the defenseman for Brick, who was standing on the corner.
Here's Morris. Morris goes around the net, looks to play it out in front to Eric Dollerman. He's checked heavily into the board. St. Joe's comes away with it. Dave Gaddy pushes it ahead for Reisman along the near side. Reisman has it knocked off his stick, and we have an offside. 10-11 left to play in the first period. Teams will skate at 4 aside for another 56 seconds. And then Brick will have a man advantage for 44 seconds. 1-1 hour score. Jim Dowd scored an unassisted goal at the 1:11 mark, a shorthanded goal to give Brick a 1-0 advantage. Then at the 2:03 mark, Dave Gaddy scored an unassisted goal to knot things up for St. Joe's. Schelling sends it in deep. Curry will stop it behind the net. Here's Chip Tolley, and we have another whistle. We'll have another penalty, and a Brick player will sit it out. It will be Rich Kale going to the penalty box. Roughing 2 minutes. He'll sit it out. Well, obviously, Pat Flaherty and Ed Holmes want to take charge right in the early going, and they want to establish their control of the game, Pete.
Matty, we'll take a look at the penalty. Now, what he wants you to do is watch his left glove. Watch as they hit, and if you can see his left good glove come up and hit him right in the face, right there. You see his head snap back, and Jim Flaherty, who had the cross view of that, was able to see it, and he made the appropriate call. When you have two teams playing with the intensity that we're seeing tonight, you're going to get those plays. There's no way to avoid them.
So it's a 4-3 skating advantage for St. Joe's. Here's Gaddy in on net, takes the backhander that's knocked away by Burgess in front. And coming away with it is Pete Morris. Morris with the long slapper, glove stop made by Andy Barish. Leaves it for Rich Schelling. Schelling winds around the net as St. Joe's looks to break out. Pass off the boards for Gaddy. Gaddy has a man trailing. Leaves it for Connolly. A weak shot from the point goes wide. Gaddy has it behind the net, kicks it onto a stick, and now Bob Burgess comes away with it for Brick. Plays it up ahead for Jim Dowd. Here's Spencer Matson. Matson with the backhander that goes wide. Teams are at 4 aside, and they'll be that way for another half a minute. And then St. Joe's will have a man advantage for about 33 seconds. Here's Burgess with a burst of speed. Long slap shot on Barish. Makes the stop with the blocker pad. Connolly can't clear it. It goes into the corner. Dan Stevens tries to center it in front, but Eric Reisman the only one there. Headman's a pass ahead for Rich Brandy.
Now Andy Barish playing with a lot more confidence, a lot more authority now. He's coming out to challenge the shooters and to cut off the angle so that the save is easier.
Tolley sends a shot down that hits the back of a St. Joe's player and is picked up by Eric Reisman. Reisman circles and now lifts it on Kern. Kern makes the glove stop. 13 seconds left in the man advantage for St. Joe's. Morris across the blue line. He's 2-on-4 with Jim Dowd. Morris winds up for the slap shot, but Larry Maherter put his stick in front and knocked it away. Now the puck in front, kicked into the corner by Rich Schelling. And Schelling plays it up into center ice. Play out in front. Puck is still loose in front of Kern, and in the pileup we have a whistle.
Boy, did Brick get a break on that play. Nobody knew where the puck was. It happened to fall right into Kern's glove. But that was dangerous as St. Joe's was breaking down the right side. And Frank Curran there hoping to get the break, but was not able to. Here we'll see. Now watch as the loose puck is picked up. He's going to try to backhand the pass in front. It hits the skate. Now nobody knows where it is. Again, it's poked. And then right there, Kern falls on top of it for the whistle. But a close call right there.
We come back to action, puck along the far boards, and we have a whistle. We'll have a face-off. For the first time in a while, the penalty box is empty. Teams skating 5 aside, 7:18 left in a 1-1 first period. St. Joe's seated first in the state playoffs. Their record has fallen a little bit. We alluded in our opening to their injuries and to their academic casualties. They stumbled a little bit the latter part of the season, but they've come on strong in their last 4 games. A very young team. A lot of sophomores, some freshmen making key contributions. Juniors very important to the St. Joe's effort. Puck comes all the way down. They wave off the icing. Race is on. Connolly along with Morris. Puck in the corner. Players spin each other around, and we'll have a face-off.
Matty, that's what you call a professional hold. You can hold the guy and not get called for the penalty. As long as the other man doesn't fall down or doesn't attempt to get the puck and stays where you're holding him, you'll rarely get a holding call. Brick seeded number 2 in the state playoffs this year. So this year, Matty, you do have the top 2 teams in the state. When you have a 1-game elimination as the state tournament is set up, many times you get one of the higher seeded teams not taking one of the lower seeded teams seriously, and they get knocked off in the first or second round by a team playing maybe a game over their head better than they should be playing. But this year we definitely have the top 2 teams in the state, and we're seeing it tonight.
1-1 game, 6.5 left in the first period. Puck comes out, Burgess has it. He'll have to wait for Jim Dowd to come onside as O'Dowd was tied up in his own zone. Burgess playing it on the far wing for Morris. Reisman will have it, uses the net as a screen, and comes in front. Tries to headman a pass. It's sent into center ice, picked up by Spencer Madsen. The junior center plays it off the boards. It's taken by Schelling. Schelling whips it right back in, but we'll have an offside. Brick will make a change. They send out Eric Gollum. Rich Kale comes on the ice. Chip Tolley, Fred Roselle, Dan Stevens out there, along with Rich Kale. 5 new skaters out for Brick. Gaddy out there with Brandy and Passamonte, the first line for St. Joe's. Reisman and Schelling, the defense pairing. Here's Fred Roselle. Roselle is met just outside the blue line by Reisman as he sends the puck in. Schelling picks it up, eludes a check by Stevens. Now is met by Eric Gollum. Reisman winds it off the boards, looking for Brandy. Comes to center ice, picked up by Passamonte. Passamonte cross ice pass for Gaddy. Gollum will watch him. Gaddy spins away from Gollum. Now he's double teamed, still has it. Comes around the net, looking for a man in front. Has a shot if he wants it, and a glove save made by Eric Kern.
Oh, Kern had to be quick on that one with his left hand. Gaddy made the nice play to come around the net. There was nobody to pass to. He looked for the corner, he shot, and then the quick glove. Here we'll see him. He makes a nice move to get away from the defenseman. Now he circles, he turns, he shoots. Watch right there, Kern juggles it a little bit, hits him in the mask, and then he holds on for the whistle. Outstanding.
Peter Morris pushes it ahead for Dowd. 2-on-3 rush for Brick. Dowd returns a pass for Morris. It's intercepted by Passamonte. We come back the other way. End-to-end action. Passamonte crunched into the boards. Gaddy picks it up. Backhander is intercepted in front by Kale. Excuse me, that was Bob Burgess. Burgess's pass a little too far ahead of his teammate. Peter Morris can't track it down. It's picked up behind the St. Joe's net. This is John Amico. Amico clears it, but not out, or not far enough to avoid a shot on goal. And Barish stopped the initial shot, let it go as it trickled past him and almost went in.
Matty, that's a sign of inexperience. He made the initial save and did not keep his eye on the rebound. He had no idea where it was. Thank God it was just off the net a little bit, or that would have went in.
Roselle bumped by Reisman, and now Reisman checks him into the boards and comes away with the puck. Backhands a pass up the wing. Herder is checked off the puck. It's a slap shot that goes wide by Chip Tolley. Puck winds around the other side. In front of the brick bench, the players collide. Pat Flaherty keep an eye on things. The players push and shove each other, and Pat takes a little tumble to the ice. Puck out in front. It'll be picked up by Brick. They send it ahead, and a solid check is applied on Peter Morris.
Matty, I don't want to say the game's getting chippy, but it is getting physical.
Ed Holmes and Pat Flaherty will keep an eye on things. In the early going, they called a lot of penalties to alert the teams to the fact that they were there. And keep an eye, here's a play out in front, and a shot just goes wide. A weak shot by Passamonte as he was slipping to the ice and went off the heel of his stick. Puck kept in front, just shot wide by Brandy. Brandy has it behind the net. Checked off the puck. Chip Tolley has it. Tries to clear it, can't clear it out. Long shot by Amico and a save by Kern off the rebound. Back out in front, and finally it is cleared away by Spencer Matson. Plays it ahead for Dowd. Dowd at center ice just sends it on into the far right side. It skips off the boards and across the glass, and we'll have a face-off. 2
golden opportunities for St. Joe, and they missed both times. First, Passamonte got a loose puck. I think the only person more surprised than Kern was Passamonte, and he misfired the puck as it went wide. And then the other play in front, Brandy, had an opportunity, and again, he shot wide. 2 golden opportunities for St. Joe, and they come up empty both times.
St. Joe's has had the better of play in the first period, Pete.
They sure have. Between the even strength advantage and definitely on the power plays, that's been working very well for them, but they've only cashed in once.
Puck in the corner, and we'll have a face-off. 3:01 left in the first period. We are still at 1 apiece. First 2 goals coming in the first 2:03 of the first period. We've been scoreless since then. A reminder that between the first and second period, Reynold Fossey, a hockey official on the state level, and also the manager of the Mennen Arena, will be our guest. We have a whistle as the goal has come off its support. It'll be reset by Pat Flaherty, and we'll have a face-off coming to the left as he looks at it of Eric Kern.
Matt, there's 2 other players I want our fans to keep an eye on tonight. Number 20, Rich Schelling, a defenseman for St. Joe's Green Knights, and for the Brick Green Dragons, keep an eye on number 22, Dan Stevens. Both fellas play with the intensity of a professional. They're really out there to play the game tonight, and it shows.
Gaddy and Matson on the face. Here's Peter Morris. Less than 3 minutes to play in the first period. Dowd shot, a bouncer, and Barish gets his pads on it, settles it, and puts his glove over it to get a face. Cry of Andy from the St. Joe's supporters, giving the sophomore goaltender making his 4th start a little encouragement.
Matty, the way the game started out with the 2 quick goals, I thought we were in for a nightmare tonight.
Well, I was going to mention, Peter, but I'm glad I didn't, because you had predicted a 3-2 score. We won't say who you thought would come out in front of that 3-2 margin, but I was going to say, do you still believe 3-2? But it may very well turn out to be a 3-2 game, because the teams have settled down and we stay at 1-1. Morris in the circle, plays it out in front. Tolley takes a shot that's deflected in front. The save made by Barish, and Reisman clears the rebound. Eric Reisman behind the net, tries to spin away from Matson and does. Bangs it off the glass out to center ice. It hops over the stick of Tolley. Kern tries to pass it up for Steven, and it's intercepted by Passamonte. Passamonte circling behind the net, looking to play it out to the point for Reisman as he's crunched into the boards. Reisman tries to play it back in. It's intercepted by Dowd. Ahead for Stevens. Stevens looks to split the defense, and he's wrestled off the puck by Rich Schelling, and Eric Reisman has it. 1:45 left to play in the first period.
Very fine play by Schelling as Dan Stevens had a step on him, and Schelling just cut him off enough to prevent the shot.
This is Stevens behind the net. Stevens, I believe, the only player out on the ice tonight who wears the long pants. Everyone else with the shorts on. Here's Schelling playing it in front, intercepted by Burgess. Burgess looks to break out. Headman's a pass for Stevens. Stevens is bodied off of the board, off the puck, excuse me, and it's picked up by St. Joe's. Flipped into the brick end, and now we have a whistle, and let's see what the call will be. Somebody's going to sit it out.
I think he has Rich Schelling. We'll have to listen.
Too many men in the white team.
Too many men on the ice. It might have been Schelling who was the sixth man on, the sixth skater on. But someone will have to sit it out for 2 minutes. Ed Holmes making the call. And let's see who he's going to send in.
There we take a look at the Brick fans who have came up from the Bricktown area. For them, it's about an hour-and-a-half ride here tonight, and they came out in force.
And they came early also. They were here by about 5 o'clock for a 6 o'clock start. John Pregame will sit it out for the 2 minutes. So for the remainder of this period, 1:15 left in the first period, it'll be a power play advantage for Brick. If they don't score, the penalty carries over to the second period. Here's Morris, weak shot that goes wide of goal. Morris chases it down in the corner. Shot deflected by Connolly. Morris still has the backhander is in, goes through the legs of Andy Barish. And give all the credit to Peter Morris. Tracked the puck down behind the net, worked himself out in front for the shot on goal.
That was actually Morris's second shot. The first one was stopped by the defenseman's leg, and this is the second shot. Here we'll see it. Nice move to step just inside the player there. Now he comes to the backhand, and it's not that hard. As you see what happened, Andy Barish overemphasized the kick and actually kicked too hard and too soon, and the puck beat him between the legs, and now it's 2-1 with under a minute to go in the first period.
14:02. That goal coming by Peter Morris for Morris's 35th goal of the year. It's a power play goal, unassisted. All 3 goals tonight have been unassisted, Pete. Puck goes into the crowd, and we'll have a face-off.
Reason for that, Matty, is you're seeing a lot of the play taken away from the other team, and it's a one-shot deal. You're not seeing the play set up in the corner, pass to the point, pass back to the slot, to the corner, and worked around like you normally see. What you're seeing tonight is a lot of loose pucks picked up, and it's a one-shot deal, and the one shot's going in. So it's not a continuous play, and that's why you're not having any assists on the goals.
40 seconds left in the first period. Gaddy will take the face off for St. Joe's. Jim Dowd for Brick. Gaddy pushing it ahead for Rich Brandy. Brandy centers a pass for Passamonte. We have an offside. 32 seconds left in the first period. Again, a reminder that Reynold Fossey, the manager of the Mennen Arena and a high school official, and a good one in his own right, will be our between-period guest between the first and second period.
Matty, I also believe that Reynolds Fossey does ECAC games. So not only is he part of the NIHOA, he's also part of the ECAC, which means he does the big-time college of Boston and the Ivy League and so forth.
Peter Morris was offside on that play. So with 27 seconds left, we'll have a face-off just outside the blue line. Spencer Madsen to take the face-off with Dave Gaddy. Here's Reisman playing it ahead. Brandy getting into the Brick end. Puck in the corner. Passamonte has it. Looks to come out in front, takes a shot on goal, but Kern had that corner sealed up, and he holds on for a face-off.
Smart play by Kern to hold his ground on the short side. Many times a goaltender leaves the near post to cover the far side. That time, it's a good thing he hung on tight to that post because that's where the shot was going.
Big slap shot and a kick save by Kern. On the rebound, another save by Kern as it goes right into his pads. Rich Brandy got the rebound. Kern was on the ice, and Brandy sent it right into his legs.
Well, the first save Kern made was spectacular. He threw the left leg out, or I should say the right leg out, made the save, and then Brandy had the rebound, and that time the rebound was smothered, and we have a replay without asking for the replay.
A similar situation. Schelling with the slap shot, Kern with the save, and off the rebound, Kern makes another save.
You know, Matty, sometimes you draw a play in the locker room, you diagram a play, and it's not much different than what we saw as we see Rich Schelling there with 2 goals, 14 assists for 16 points this year. You try to get the faceoff immediately back to the point man, and then everyone just crashes the net for the rebound.
And time will run out here. It's just 2 seconds or left at the time of that face-off. An exciting first period of action. A 2-1 advantage. Brick scoring the first and third goals. St. Joseph's the second goal. And Brick will take a 2-1 advantage into the locker room at the end of the first period. When we come back, we'll have an interview with Reynold Fossey, the manager of the Mennen Arena. So stay with us. At the end of the first period, Brick leading over St. Joe's in the 1985 State Hockey Championship for New Jersey. And my guest between the first and second period is Reynold Fossey, the manager of the Mennen Arena. And Reynold is also familiar to our hockey fans as a high school hockey official, and as Peter mentioned during the course of the first period, also a college official. And Reynold, thank you very much for being a most gracious host to us today. And I'm sure Mennon's very happy about the fact that they were chosen to host the 1985 state final.
Yes, Matt, it is a great privilege for us here at the Mennen Sports Arena with our type of facility. We feel we make a real good site for the championship, and we're very proud to add it to one of our events through the course of the year.
How old is the Mennen Arena?
We're going into our 11th season of operation.
11 years, and this is the first year that you've hosted the final?
No, we've been alternating every other year with South Mountain. We were the original site back in 1976.
What future plans would you say there are for high school hockey in New Jersey? You're very much involved with it. It seems to be growing. We added teams this year, a Summit, a Milburn, teams like that. The merger, of course, of the Bergen League with the Morris County League and of course, the NJIHL. So where do you see hockey going in New Jersey in the next couple of years?
Well, I think it's going in that hockey in this area with the help of the Devils and being such a real exciting kind of sport, generating lots of excitement. I see it growing, but it's hard at the high school level with the schools having the budget caps on their monetary capabilities, and very hard for schools that haven't started programs earlier to come on and start one now. The fact that there are schools still growing and still adding hockey is just really a credit to the determination of parents and people who support hockey, fighting these schools tooth and nail and getting the money out, because from what I know, it's very hard in all athletic fields at the high school level to add sports at this time with the dollar being what it is. But I do see it growing. We're right now in the process of building a second ice surface here, hope to be completed late this year. I know South Mountain Arena is also building a second surface to be completed about the same time of ours. With those kind of things, it's only going to add to the future of high school hockey.
Now, the Mennen Arena, of course, is not only in action during the high school hockey season. It's a full-time facility, and it's in use for a lot of things. And in fact, I noticed today that there's a circus coming to the Mennen Arena in the not-too-distant future.
Yes, that's right. We're primarily an ice rink. We operate ice right now about 9 months of the year. The other 3 months, we bring in special events similar to the circus. We'll be having the circus coming in April. We have some wrestling shows, car shows, trade shows, concerts, just about everything that a major auditorium does, only on a smaller scale. One of the reasons for our second ice surface is so that we are able to bring in more special events and not keep bumping out our skating programs. With our new facility, which will be designated just an ice skating arena, we'll have ice 12 months of the year, and then in our big building, as we call it here, we'll probably have ice about 6 to 7 months a year.
All right, Reynold Fossey, thank you very much for spending time with us between the first and second period. Again, thank you for all your help during the course of today's game, and good luck to you in your role here as manager of the Mennen Arena.
Good. Thank you very much. A pleasure to have you, and we're glad to have you people here with us at Suburban Cable.
Thank you very much. Reynold Fossey, the manager of the Mennen Arena, and as I said, a very gracious host for the state championship. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with second period action. Our score at the end of one period, Brick 2 and St. Joe's 1. Is back on the ice. Still waiting for Brick to make its way out of the locker room. Let's review the scoring summary for you, and both teams got off to quick starts. At the 1:11 mark, Brick took a 1-0 lead on an unassisted goal from Jim Dowd, his 58th of the year. But less than a minute later, St. Joseph's knotted things up Dowd's goal was a shorthanded goal. Dave Gaddy scored a power play goal to make it 1-1 at the 2:03 mark, and again, that goal was unassisted. And then near the end, with less than a minute to go, 14:02 of the first period, Brick took a 2-1 lead on a power play goal by Pete Morris for Morris's 35th goal of the year, and again, that was unassisted. All 3 goals unassisted in the first period. And we'll take a look at the 2 Brick goals, and again, we expected the scoring to come from that first line, and both of their goals have indeed come from 2 members of the first line. Here, Jim Dowd scoring the first goal on a breakaway.
What Dowd does is he deflected a pass between the 2 defensemen and then picked up the puck at center ice. There's the backhand. Barish extending the right leg, but not quick enough.
And here's Peter Morris scoring a goal on a good individual effort.
You see, Matty, right there, the puck was flipping and not sliding well. He did not get all of the shot, and Barish, anticipating a harder shot, threw his right leg out very quick, anticipating the hard shot low to the stick side, and then the puck coming at a slower rate had an opening about the size of a foot between the legs, and that's exactly where it slipped through.
Brick made it to the championship game by defeating St. Peter's in the opening round of the state tournament, 12-5. Then they defeated Bishop Eustis by an 8-3 margin, and in the semifinals they downed Mount Olive 6-3. Meanwhile, St. Joseph's had an easy time in its opening round state tournament game over Notre Dame of Trenton, 20-0 the final score there. They defeated Brick Memorial 8-2, and then on Thursday evening in the semifinals they defeated Montclair by a score of 5-1. On that second Brick goal, we said that Pete Morris had a good individual effort. What we did not show you is how he wound up scoring that goal. He had a weak shot go wide of the goal. He tracked that shot down behind the net, came back out in front, took a shot that was deflected, and then picked up the rebound and took another shot. So he fought for that goal.
He sure did. 3 times he attempted to score, and on the 3rd time is when he put it home. So it just goes to show you that you can't give up after the first or even after the second time. You have to keep going until the red light comes on.
As our director Mike Butler would say, 3's a jewel. 2-1 our score as we prepare to start the second period. Just a quick note here, during our interview with Reynold Fossey, I mentioned about the merger of the Bergen County Scholastic League with the NJIHL, and I also threw in the Morris County League there, but of course the Morris County Secondary School Interscholastic Hockey League,
which plays out of this building here.
That's right, has remained independent. Teams do cross over. They'll play each other in out-of-league games, but they have their own league schedule.
But that league, Matty, the teams that play in that league originally came out of the NJSIAL.
Oh, really? Underway in the second period. New ice surface. The Zamboni was out between the first and the second period. Barish will cover up as Spencer Matson came charging on goal. Teams switch sides of the arena. Brick now skating right to left and St. Joe's left to right. Brick in their green jerseys with the white trim. St. Joe's with the white jerseys, green shorts with the gold trim. Dan Stevens to take the face-off with Eric Reisman. Puck in the corner, picked up by Rich Brandy. Plays it around the corner for Rich Schelling. Schelling checked hard into the boards by Eric Gollum. Puck in front, picked up by Dave Gaddy. Gaddy with the backhander lifts it high into center ice. Passamonte tries to settle it down for St. Joe's. He fights for it along with John Severini. Now the puck out in front and a save made by Kern on a shot by Rich Brandy. Gaddy plays it back to the point. Schelling with the big slap shot deflected wide. Eric Kern, right in front of Ed Holmes, took Adam Passamonte down. Ed Holmes kept his eye on it because those two players collided. They jawed a little bit, pushed and shoved each other, and then Eric Kern just took the legs right out from Adam Passamonte, and that was an easy call for Ed Holmes.
He has the goaltender Kern for a trip, and it, just like you said, Matty, they bumped once. He figured that was even, but then when Kern came back a second time to pull the skates of Passamonte out from underneath him, that penalty he called.
So a man advantage for St. Joseph's in the early going of the second period. 14:10 left to play in the second period. Eric Kern caught tripping Adam Passamonte, and let's see who will sit the penalty out for Brick. Someone's got to.
Matty, the whole thing started because none of the Brick defensemen were back to take care of that man, take care of Passamonte, who was standing all alone in the crease. Kern was left unprotected.
I'm not sure what this discussion is about, unless they're just complaining about the call to Ed Holmes.
Penalty being served by number 10, Jeff Haywood.
Jeff Haywood will sit it out for 2 minutes.
I think it might have had to do with who was on the ice at the time of the penalty, because one of those players must serve the penalty.
So a man advantage for St. Joseph's. They have Adam Passamonte, Dave Gaddy, Rich Brandy, Eric Reisman, and Craig Connolly out on the power play. Spencer Madsen, Jim Dowd, Bob Burgess, and John Severini out to kill the penalty for Brick. Severini tries to clear from behind the net. In the corner, he has it. Backhander does not come out. Kept in by Reisman along the boards. Flips it ahead for Gaddy in the corner. Severini and Gaddy combine on the puck, and it's picked up by Dowd. Dowd eludes a check and clears it. Brick will make a change. St. Joe's tries to catch Brick on the change. Here comes Reisman. Big slap shot offside, though. That goal would not have counted, as Gaddy was in ahead of the play offside. I'm not so sure that Gaddy expected the slap shot. In the time it took for Reisman to tee it up, Gaddy was offside.
Exactly so, Matt. Reisman took a little extra time teeing it up to get the perfect angle for his stick. And Gaddy trying to extend that left leg. He dropped it way back behind him, but it did slip over the blue line, and a good call by Jimmy Flaherty.
Stevens knocks it off a Reisman stick, but Reisman recovers in across the blue line, goes around Rich Kale. Reisman goes around the net, still has it, looks to play it out to the point for Connolly. Cross ice it goes. Brandy's shot is deflected, races on. Connolly wins it ahead of Stevens, loses his edge, goes crashing into the boards. Rich Brandy picks it up for St. Joe's. 57 seconds left in the power play. And here Stevens slips as he goes to the ice, but he clears it. Connolly off the boards for Reisman. Gaddy picks it up along the far side. Watched by Dowd. Dowd knocks it off of his stick. Jim Dowd works it in front, still working it, and now he's finally sent to the ice. Two men checking Jim Dowd, and here comes Dave Gaddy across the blue line, knocked off of his stick by Spencer Madsen, and it is cleared by Bob Burgess. Delayed offside, and now as Tolley brings it across the blue line, it's waved off. Tolley sends it in, 17 seconds left in the power play. Reisman looking for one last rush for St. Joe's. Reisman is taken down to the ice. The St. Joe's fans wanted the penalty. None was called. Here's Spencer Madsen as the penalty expires. Morris going around Schelling. Morris tries to stuff it home on the short side, and Barish holds on for a save. Morris a little upset because Dave Gaddy, a little after the action, gave him a hit, and Gaddy might be going off.
I'm not sure if he's not. If he is or not.
Yes, it is. Gaddy going off.
He's
2 minutes for roughing.
There we see Peter Morris, 34 goals this year. Morris made a nice move to go to the outside, but again, Jim Schelling with his long reach was able to hold him off, and he got a weak shot off just to the short side of the goaltender. But now we'll see the power play unit for Brick High School, and they can widen their margin.
Tolley has a clear shot, a sharp angle. Save made, a rebound, and now we get a whistle on a pile up in front. Players go sprawling, and Jim Flaherty at Holmes get in the middle of it, try to separate the players. We'll have a face-off coming to the left as we look at it of Andy Barish.
There's the sophomore Andy Barish. A lot of pressure on him now. Team is down 2-1, and we're about 5 minutes into the second period as the Brick fans really whomp it up here.
Well, the Brick fans said, let's go Brick. And the St. Joe's fans said, go home Brick. So both sets of fans into the game. 2-1 advantage for Brick, 11:43 left to play in the second period. Out to the point. Burgess' shot is deflected wide. Here's Dowd. Dowd sends it in front. It's deflected wide by Madsen. Madsen has it. Sends it behind the net. Here's Peter Morris. Morris still with it. Looks to feed Dowd, and it's intercepted and sent down. It's intercepted by Andre Sork. 1:05 left in the power play for Brick as Dave Gaddy sits out a 2-minute penalty for roughing. Dowd loses control. Kale backhands it into center ice, picked up by Schelling. Schelling for Sork, Andre Sork. Crosses the blue line, bumped off the play, and is picked up by Brick. Here comes Eric Gollum. His shot sticked into the corner by Barish. 35 seconds left in the power play. Here's a shot by Roselle and a save made by Barish, and the puck's cleared into center ice.
Fine save by Barish as he came out to break down the angle again and challenge the shooter. He's playing with confidence now.
Roselle's shot goes wide. Gollum plays it behind the net. Dan Stevens feeds it for Roselle. Tries to play it out for Gollum. It's intercepted by Schelling. Here comes St. Joe's with 8 seconds left in the Brick power play. Schelling in the corner, checked hard by Severini. Puck comes to Passamonte. We're going to have a penalty called against Brick, a delayed penalty. Reisman slap shot deflected through a crowd, comes out to the far side. Gaddy out of the penalty box, sends it to the corner. But when it's touched by Bob Burgess, we have a high sticking penalty called against Brick.
19 green, minor, high sticking.
John Severini will sit it out for the 2 minutes. High sticking against Severini. That's his second penalty of the game. He served one early in the first period.
Severini had no alternative but the high stick. Jim Schelling's, he came down the right side. Schelling had a step on him, and Severini with a stick above the height of the shoulders took him into the boards rather heavily, and Jim Flaherty made the call.
So St. Joe's will have the power play. Trailing by a goal, 2-1, 9:56 left to play. Out to the point. Reisman plays it in the corner. This is Gaddy, and we have a whistle, and we're going to have another high sticking call.
16 weight, high stick.
And it will be Rich Brandy sitting it out for 2 minutes. So just 8 seconds had ticked off on the power play for St. Joe's before they picked up a penalty. So the teams will be even for 1:52. Frank Horan not liking that call. Not too pleased with that, the head coach of St. Joe's. So we'll be even, and then for 8 seconds, Brick will have a power play. Here's Rich Schelling. That's center ice. Schelling wheels across ice, sends it into the corner. Runs along the edge of the board in the glass. Here's Burgess. Big burst of speed by Spencer Matson. Matson has the puck knocked away by Reisman, and the big Eric Reisman at 6'3", 215 pounds, sends the 5'9", 150 Matson into the boards. Burgess winds up, slap shot goes wide. It had beaten Barish, but it was wide.
St. Joe's was very lucky on that play because Barish was beat. He didn't move till after the puck rebounded off the backboards.
Here's Schelling. Maintains possession. Looks to play it out to the point. Big slap shot and a kick save by Kern. Slap shot by Gaddy was saved by Kern. Here's Stevens. And now taken down on an obvious trip is Peter Morris. And Dave Gaddy will sit it out for 2 minutes.
10 weight hook.
He'll call it hooking. And Peter, exactly what's the difference between hooking and tripping?
Matty, on a trip, the fellow must fall down. A tripping is when you take his skates out from underneath him. What you're going to see here is watch how he gets the stick up around the shoulder and arm area and right there at the waist and just pulls him off the play. Now, if he did not fall down, but yet he is still pulled off the play, it would be a hook. In order for it to be a trip, you have to take the man's legs out from underneath him.
So Gaddy sits out for 2 minutes. Brick with a man advantage. St. Joe's will look to kill some of this time. 4 skaters to 3 for Brick. Sork backhands it in. This is Chip Tolley. In 23 seconds, Brick will have a 2-man advantage for 8 seconds. Nice give and go, Dowd shot, and it's cleared off the front doorstep. Barish made the initial save, and then it was cleared off the doorstep by John Amico. Amico coming up big, and here's a shot by Dowd and a save made by Barish. Cleared but not out. Tolley from the point winds up. Glove save, but the puck comes free off the rebound. Madsen's shot is deflected by Schelling. Here's Dowd. Back to the point it goes. Wrist shot knocked away by Schelling, and Schelling will have a chance to come out, and he clears. Just one man now in the penalty box. It's a man advantage, 5 skaters to 4 for Brick, as Gaddy sits out for another 52 seconds.
Barish has been good, and when he hasn't been, his defensemen have been there for the rescue. Twice he came up big, and twice the defenseman cleared the rebound from right on the doorstep.
40 seconds left in the Gaddy penalty. Reisman checks Roselle. Here's Kale. Kale shot high off the glass. Picked up by Stevens behind the net. Dan Stevens puts on the brakes in the corner, loses possession. Rich Schelling will come away with it for St. Joe's. He's checked by Stevens. Puck loose along the boards. Played out in front for Stevens. His backhander, a save made by Barish. The puck comes free, but to the near side. And now we're going to have a whistle, and we're going to have a penalty. And it'll be hooking once again.
22 in the green, hook.
And it will be called against Brick, Dan Stevens. So Stevens will sit it out for 2 minutes for hooking. Teams will be even strength for 14 seconds, and then St. Joe's will have a power play for 1:46. Boy, Pete, end-to-end action.
We're seeing a great game tonight. Stevens was trying to hide there in the corner, thinking maybe Ed Holmes didn't see him. But
here's Stevens.
This
some early action.
Right, this is the first shot. There's the save. Now watch Stevens. He tries to tee up the backhand, but right there is where the puck is picked up, and that's where Stevens hooked the St. Joe's player, and that's why we'll have another power play coming up here after the 14 seconds elapses. Matty, we're seeing it all tonight. We're seeing the good skating, the good shooting, and the good checking.
And it's a 2-1 game. Brick leading by a goal. They scored the first and third goals of this game. Sandwiching a goal by St. Joe's. There's a shot by Passamonte, who had worked his way into the defense, and a big slap shot from Eric Reisman finds the back of the net.
A booming slap shot by Eric Reisman. But it was the first shot that set up the slap shot. Because of the first shot, Kern had to come way out of his net to make the save, and he was not in position for the second shot by Reisman, who blew it right by him for a tie score.
A power play goal. And I believe they'll give an assist to Passamonte.
Passamonte was the fellow who took the first shot, and Kern made a beautiful save, but he had to come out to challenge him to make that save. And then when the rebound came to Reisman, who had a beautiful angle for it, he blew it right by Kern because Kern was out of position from the first save.
Assistant number 10, Dave Gaddy, and number 16, Rich Brandy.
Well, believe it or not, they're going to give goals to Gaddy and Brandy. So Gaddy and Brandy getting assists on the Reisman goal.
Matty, that might change. In between the periods, the players will talk to the official score, and that might change. The way it's done at the high school level, the referees not only designate the goal scorer, but also who receives the assists on the play. And it's tough enough watching the game.
Sure.
And when you have to remember back who were the last 2 players to touch the puck, it gets tough. So many times it's changed after the period.
2-2 game, 6:18 left to play in the second period. Here's Gollum. Gollum's shot is deflected and cleared out of difficulty and now sent into center ice. Chip Tolley, race on with Larry Maherter. Maherter has it. He's double teamed and crunched in the boards. No penalty called. The St. Joe's fans wanted one whistle. The officials say play on. 5:55 now left in the second period. Brick making a change. Anderson for Maherter. Maherter's slap shot gloved by Kern, and Kern will hold on for a face-off.
That was one where Kern had to get his assurance back. That was an easy shot, and there was nobody around him, but he decided to hold on just to make sure, as we take a look at Larry Maherter with 32 points so far this year. The game tonight, Matty, is typical of a championship game. The score is tight, and we're seeing ferocious checking out there. And the officials have called just what they had to and have not taken the game away from the players. It's still their game.
This is the last game of the high school year, so the players are giving it their all. No sense holding it back. There's nothing after this. You'll wake up tomorrow and the season's over.
if they were a little older, Matty, I'd say they'd be hitting the golf courses tomorrow. But probably more like stickball in the playground is what they'll be going to.
Some of the Brick players might be going to the beach. It's supposed to be 60 degrees tomorrow and sunny. Shots on goal just about even. St. Joe's with one more than Brick. Dave Gaddy out to take the face-off for St. Joseph's. He'll square off against Dan Stevens. Just waiting now for Eric Reisman to head to the bench. Here's Amico. Takes a shot, deflected in front and cleared away by Bob Burgess. Connolly cross ice for Amico. John Amico sends it in. Sticked into the corner by Kern. St. Joe's fans have come alive here in the last couple of minutes since that Reisman goal. Stevens racing with Gaddy. Gaddy backhands it into the center part of the ice. Here's Gollum as the puck is in the Brick end. And Gaddy is sent down to the ice by Gollum. Fred Roselle with the backhander for Stevens. Stevens plays it off the boards, picked up by Passamonte. He sends it in, and as the puck is touched by Rich Brandy, we have an offside called. Both teams will take this opportunity to make changes. Peter, one thing we should mention is that for this game, the ice is being cleaned between the first and second and between the second and third. Normally in high school hockey, there'll only be one period when that will happen, and then the other period is a short break of about 4 or 5 minutes. So that should give the players some extra legs.
Matty, the reason for that is ice time is so expensive.
Oh, sure, I understand.
And this game, because all the marbles, everything's on the line, all the playing for all the marbles tonight, they'll take the extra time and resurface twice. This rink here is one of, if not the premier rink in the state right now. They do a fine job here, and you spoke with Reynold Fossey after the first period, the manager. He and his staff do an excellent job, and they've done an excellent job of complimenting us and giving us all we need for tonight's game.
4:28 left to play in the second period. Reisman with the puck, plays it for his defense partner Schelling, who bangs it off the boards. It was 2-1 after one, and Eric Reisman scored at the 8:25 mark, and we were tied at 2. Here's Matson, and we'll have a tripping penalty called as Matson went flying to the ice.
White minor trip.
And Reisman will sit it out for 2. Reisman, I think, was looking to get a nice hip check in, Pete.
He was trying for the hip check, but if you can take a look, you'll see him throw his leg out instead. Here we see him coming to us over the line. Now watch Reisman throw his right leg out right there and catch just enough to trip him, and good call by Flaherty. Those are tough ones to call, Matty, because very seldom does a player intentionally throw his leg out. Most of the time it's his hip. What happens, midway through the check, he sees he's not going to get him with his hip, so then the knee comes out, and then if that's not enough, then the foot comes out.
He'll get him somehow.
Somewhere along the line, he's going to get a piece of him. And it depends how much of a piece and how bad it looks, whether the trip is called or not. That time he extended his entire leg, and it was obvious. But you can't blame a player for trying. His job is to get a piece of that forward coming down, and that's what he's going to try to do every time.
1:35 left in the power play. Jim Dowd out there along with Peter Morris, Spencer Matson, Bob Burgess, and Rich Kale for Brick. Craig Connolly, Rich Schelling, Adam Passamonte, and Rich Brandy killing the penalty for St. Joe's. And here's Passamonte lifting it down the other end of the ice. Kale backhanded, and it's picked up by Passamonte. He'll flip it back for Schelling, trying to kill some time. Schelling will chase it as Brick makes a change. Brick making a lot of changes now here in the second period. They're getting their players on and off very quickly.
Oriama does a great job of that. Brick, in setting up this power play, has their box a little too tight. They should open it up, work the corners more, work the points more. It'll be to their advantage.
Here's Stevens, plays it for Gollum. Weak shot, and Barish sliding to the ice makes the save. And let's see what happens here as Dan Stevens will go off for 2 minutes. As he came by Andy Barish. After Barish made the save, he threw a stick at Andy Barish, gave him a little hello. But the officials caught that one. He tried to use Barish, I think, as a little bit as a screen. But the officials caught it.
We talked about Stevens earlier about being a very aggressive player. Right there, he got carried away and gave a little poke after the whistle to Andy Barish. And then Adam Passamonte, seeing what was done to his goaltender, went over and hit Stevens. So he also will sit. So the penalties will offset each other, and we will still have a power play for the Brick Dragons.
46 seconds left in their one-man advantage. They have 4 skaters on the ice to 3 for St. Joe's. Kale slap shot deflected, goes wide. Behind the net, picked up by Craig Connolly. Connolly with a long slap shot that goes into the corner. Morris for Matson goes into the corner. Morris will track it down. Morris circles. Plays it out to the point. Kale slap shot, save made by Barish, goes through his legs and is cleared by Connolly. It was Morris who came in, saw the loose puck and cleared it between the legs. Now it's on the doorstep again and Barish falls on it.
Matty, Craig Connolly earned his varsity letter on that play alone. Quick shot from the point. Barish makes the save, but somehow it's poked with a stick right there. Connolly alertly moves it right out from the crease as it was sitting probably about 6 to 8 inches away from that goal line. As I mentioned earlier, where Barish has failed, the defense has picked up, and together as a unit, they're playing well.
2 seconds left in the man advantage, and now the penalty to Reisman expires, so the teams are at 4 skaters apiece. 2:08 left in the penalty, or excuse me, in the second period. The penalties to Passamonte and to Stevens will expire before the end of the second period. Here's a 2-on-2. Burgess loses control. Dave Gaddy has it for St. Joe's. Gathers momentum as he crosses the blue line. Tries to leave a pass for Reisman. Reisman has it. Sends a pass for Schelling. Here's Schelling whipping it ahead. 1:39 left in the period. And we're going to have another penalty.
Cross-checking.
6-6. Cross-check called on Jim Dowd.
Matter that had to be behind the play. I didn't see it. But if anybody if anyone should not be off the ice for Brick, it's Dowd. He is their big guy. And something behind the play with just a minute and a half to go in the second period to give St. Joe's an advantage at this time. So could be disastrous.
They'll be up a man for the remainder of this period, and again, should time expire without them scoring a goal, the penalty will carry over into the third period. 2-2 hour score, 1:33 left to play in the second period. There's Bob Oriema. 20 years he's been the head coach. This is the 7th time that Brick has appeared in the state final. They've won 3, they've lost 3 championships. A goal here would give St. Joe's a big lift. Here's Gaddy walking in, the shot taken, and Kern comes up with the save, and it is cleared.
Again, Kern came out to challenge the shooter. He came out about 15 feet to cut down the angle, so there was none, and the shot went right into his pad. What looked like an easy save was all mental. It was his anticipation to come out that prevented the goal.
Gaddy coming in is sandwiched by Burgess and Morris. Here's Kale banging it off the boards, and Reisman saved a possible break by Stevens. Stevens was behind Reisman, and Reisman just got a stick on the floating puck. Here's Reisman cutting it on goal, and he scores!
Reisman using his speed, size, and strength to go around the defense, then cuts inside Kern to his forehand and puts one into an open net. And with just 44 seconds to go, a gigantic lead of 3-2. Here we'll see Reisman.
Well, we'll try and get that to you in just a moment. But Reisman, his second goal of the game, and for the junior defenseman, that is his 14th goal of the year. It's a power play goal, and it gives St. Joe's a 3-2 advantage.
Okay, here's Reisman as he comes in center ice. Now here's the move to the outside. He goes to his backhand. He catches the defenseman flat-footed. Here's the move to cut across to his forehand. And now with Kern out of position, he puts it into the open net. Matty, I mentioned a gigantic goal. It's only one more goal on the scoreboard, but in the last minute of play of the second period, in such an advantage emotionally and with the momentum, it's really a big goal.
15 seconds now left in the second period. St. Joe's, scoring 2 second-period goals, has taken a 3-2 advantage. Passamonte plays it up. Rich Kale sends it back in with 2 seconds left, and that'll do it. We've played 2 exciting periods of hockey. St. Joe's with a 1-goal advantage after 2 periods. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with our between periods informal chat. Peter and I will talk about the game, and then we'll come back with third period action after that. 15 minutes of hockey still ahead of us. Stay with us. Our score at the end of 2 periods. Matt Laughlin along with Pete Caggiano. We're at the Mennen Arena, state championship action between Brick and St. Joe's, and St. Joe's really had to get a big lift from that last Reisman goal, and now they go into the locker room, Pete, up by a goal as they prepare for the last 15 minutes.
Well, they were trailing 2-1 in the second period there, and Eric Reisman took control. The first shot was a booming slap shot off of the save, and the second one was a fine individual effort, picking up the loose puck at center ice, going around the Brick defenseman, then cutting inside Kern for the forehand shot. And when in the last minute of play of a period, when you score a goal, that's an emotional lift. But to put you ahead 3-2 in such an action-packed and tight defensive game has to be sensational for them.
Now, both teams, of course, enjoying a few moments of relaxation in the locker room, getting some wind back in their legs back and listening to the instruction of their coaches. What might Frank Coran be telling his St. Joe's Green Knights?
Okay, first of all, they are physically relaxing, not mentally relaxing. They are in this game from the minute, probably a game like today, from the minute they wake up this morning, they're thinking about this game. But right now, Frank Coran is in the locker room congratulating his team for playing 2 periods, 2 good periods so far this evening, but letting them know the job is not done. Brick didn't get here because they were good last year and the year before that. They got here because they're a good team this year, and St. Joe's knows that. So they know they're going to have to continue to do what they've done so far the first 2 periods, which is contain Dowd, although he scored the 1. They have to keep on top of him, and they have to keep shooting against Eric Kern. Sooner or later, they're going to go in.
Now, what's Bob Oriema saying? His team's played a good 2 periods of hockey. They just happen to find themselves down by a goal.
Oriema has to pep his team up a little bit. I'm sure they're down a little bit right now, having been scored on in the last minute there. And now, in a game where they seem to be in control most of it, now they find themselves trailing by 1 at 3-2. He will probably encourage them to carry the puck a little more. They have that big line with Madsen and Dowd and Spencer, and they'll probably be looking for that line to put one home. I expect them to probably set up more and probably work the puck a little more, because that's one team that uses their points well, and they capitalize on other teams' mistakes. So what they're probably going to do is just keep the pressure on, but when the opportunity arises, definitely take advantage of it.
Pressure must be on Brick because they are down by a goal, and they've only got 15 more minutes in order to make up that deficit and try to force an overtime or score 2 goals and take an advantage. At what point will the pressure really start to build? They won't come out maybe in the first minute say, we've got to score that goal right away. They might try to, but they realize they've got a lot of time. About halfway through, they'll start to say, we better score soon.
When you get around the 7 to 5 minute mark, that's when the brow will start to sweat and the hands will be very wet. That's when it's do or die time. I'd say if they're still trailing, when the clock comes down to the 7 or 5 minute mark, then you might see them pressing. Then you might see them taking the chance and throwing caution to the wind as far as defense is concerned. But up until then, I'm sure they'll continue to do what they've done so far.
Well, it's been a heck of a hockey game. 2 periods in the books. St. Joseph's hoping to defend its state championship, leading by a goal 3-2. When we come back, we'll have third period action for you, so stay with us. Laughlin, every Thursday evening ahead of us of ice hockey. Matt Laughlin along with Pete Caggiano. And in that second period, St. Joe's scored twice. At 8:25, they evened things up at 2 apiece. Eric Reisman scoring the goal, Dave Gaddy and Rich Brandy with the assist. We feel, however, that might be changed. But nonetheless, that's the way it appears right now in the official scorebook. And then late in the second period, 14-16, they took a 1-goal lead on Reisman's second goal of the game. This one an unassisted goal, a beautiful individual effort, and we will take a look at that goal by the big junior defenseman, scoring in tonight's game his 13th and 14th goals of the game. And we hope to be able to bring that to you in just a few moments. 45 seconds before we'll begin action as the teams are still skating through. Here's that second goal by Reisman.
Matty Reisman uses his size and his reach right there to get around the defenseman and then come inside Kern. Kern tried to poke the puck away. It was a do-or-die situation for Kern. If he extends his stick and he's able to knock the puck off of Reisman's stick before he gets the shot off, it's a beautiful play. If he misses, as he did there, he's a dead duck.
There's Eric Reisman. Has the C on his left-hand shoulder, indicating he's the captain. Brick now comes out. And we're just about set to begin action in the third period. This is the 10th annual championship, and the previous winners have been Brick in 76 and 77, West Essex won in 78, Brick again in 79, Livingston in 80. In 81, it was Montclair. Livingston repeated in 82, CBA in 83, and St. Joe's last year. And St. Joe's is bidding to become just the second team to ever win back-to-back championships. Brick, the only other team to do it back in the first 2 years. Brick, of course, hoping to end that string and win their 4th championship in 7 tries. This is St. Joe's 2nd trip to the final. Bob Boryem, an outstanding coach. 20 years, he's won 7 Gordon Cups, 3 state championships, a number of league championships.
And Matty, the other night was his 300th career victory. And I don't think there's any coach in the state of New Jersey in hockey that is even close to that amount. Most coaches haven't even coached 300 games,
That's
and he
true.
has 300 victories.
There's Frank Horan. Frank has a pretty fine record in his 6 years entering tonight's game, 142, 18, and 5. We showed you a graphic earlier in which we showed you that St. Joe's was 89, 10, and 4 since the start of the 81-82 season. That's very impressive.
They win 8 out of 9 games. Unbelievable.
Let's see what happens. Sit back and relax. Enjoy the next 15 minutes of hockey. We do have an overtime provision. We should mention that. And 2 state championship games have gone to overtime. The first one in 76, Brick won over Chatham Township 3-2. And, of course, the game that everyone likes to talk about, the game that TV3 had the privilege of bringing you back in 1980, a 1-0 Livingston overtime victory over Brick. Some say that was the most memorable game played. Teams are even strength to start the third period. We've had a number of penalties called, all of them called for. Nothing unwarranted. Passamonte pokes the puck ahead, and Kern comes out of the net to clear it. Passamonte runs into Kern, and this is Eric Gollum with it. Gollum leaves it for Stevens. Stevens comes in, and now the puck comes free. Possible break here. Here's Brandy with Gaddy on a 2-on-1. Kale the only one back in the pass, just a little too far ahead of Dave Gaddy. Puck kept in. Larry Merherter keeps the puck in, and now it's flipped into the crowd by Brick. And we will have a face-off coming to the right side of Eric Kern.
There we take a look at Bob Oriama. Matt, if you could take a look at the sweatshirt he has on, it says Goal Busters on it. Apparently they had a little promotion to try to raise some funds for the team, and they sold those shirts, and quite a few of the Brick supporters are wearing them tonight.
You saw him sandwiched by his assistant coaches. Jay Andrews was the near coach, and behind Bob was Chuck McCabe. Both of them have been assistants since 1980. It was Chuck McCabe who was selling the sweatshirts. He told us before the game that he was able to raise $900 through the sale of those sweatshirts, and he said he could have sold twice as many. He was a little afraid, though, of ordering that many. He wasn't sure how well the sales would go, but he said they proved to be very popular. 13:25 left to play in the third period. St. Joe's leading by a goal, 3-2. John Amico plays it up into center ice, picked up by Bob Burgess. He sends it in. Eric Reisman knocks it down and has the puck. Reisman crosses the blue line. Big slap shot. Save made by Kern as he backs up into the goal off the powerful blast by Eric Reisman. Eric Gollum loses control. Amico sends it into center ice. Dan Stevens has it. We have an offside as Fred Roselle is caught in behind the blue line.
Reisman almost beat Kern between the pads on that time. Reisman came down the left wing and from a poor angle, from about 30 feet out, let a bullet slap shot go, and Kern was just able to close the pads in time to hold on. But again, you have to look out for Eric Reisman with that powerful shot.
Less than 13 minutes now to play. We'll keep you posted on the time. Third and final period of regulation. Of course, we mentioned there is an overtime provision. Another 2-on-1. This time it is Gaddy sending a pass a little too far for Brandy. Passamonte knocks it back into the corner and is picked up by Jim Dowd. Jim Dowd, very dangerous. State record for points scored. He's got 113. Knocked to the ice by Passamonte. Puck is free in the corner. And we have a whistle as the puck disappears from view.
Manny, that was a lot worse than what it looked like. He got a little tug, but Dowd should have been able to hold up on his skates without going down. I don't think he falls because of the tug. There you see the tug there, and it looks like he just might have caught his edge of his skate on a little imperfection in the ice and caused him to go down, and then the big pileup, and that's why we have the whistle.
Pete Bob Oriema and Frank Coran look up at the clock. They both see 12:20. But for Bob Oriema, that's a lot of time. For Frank Coran, that's too much time. They don't see it with the same, from the same perspective.
That's why the glass is either half empty or half full.
At 12:20 for Frank Coran will take an eternity to go. For Bob Oriema, there's always a lot of hope, and there's plenty of time for his team. We're going to have a penalty called here. Penalty called against St. Joseph's, and Craig Connolly will go out for 2 minutes.
White minor cross-check.
Cross-checking is the call, and Brick, trailing by a goal, will have a power play. 12:03 left to play.
Connolly knew what he was doing. I don't think he thought he was going to get called for a penalty because they bumped once, and the man was just standing there, and he pushed him. Not real hard, but he did have the stick up around the back area. And from the angle that Jim O'Flaherty saw, it looked real bad. And for that, he'll sit 2 minutes. This is the break that Brick was looking for.
Face off deep in the St. Joe's end. They'll want to try and get it out as quickly as they can. The backhander by Dowd, and Barish comes up big. Kale keeps it in, banks it off the board. Spencer Matson behind the net. Now in the corner with it, kicks it along the boards. Schelling has it, tries to send it up the boards for Brandy, and Brandy's able to clear. We didn't speak about it on the air. We talked about it off the air. Andy Barish, the sophomore goalie, has really kept St. Joe's in the game. He's played a fine game given the fact that he's only started 4 games in his varsity career. Here's Dowd with it. Dowd still with it. His backhander goes well wide. In the corner it goes. Dowd has it again. Plays the backhander for Morris. Pete Morris skates out toward the blue line, sends a pass for Kale. Kale tries to play it back for Morris. He keeps it in along the corner. Puck is loose. Here's Morris. Sends it cross ice, and Dowd fans on the slap shot. Wound up for the big slapper, and it just was plain old missed. Here's Dowd. Excuse me, make that Morris. Morris with it, comes in front, it's kicked away, and now is cleared off the backhand by Brandy.
That is one of the tougher shots to pull off. To time the puck exactly so that your stick and the puck meet at the exact time at the right angle so you get the good shot off. Even the pros have problems with that one.
30 seconds left in the penalty to Craig Connolly. 10:31 left in the third period. Gollum behind the net. Schelling stops his progress. Schelling has it, looks to clear, and does. Time for Brick to regroup, and an offside.
Matt, you mentioned the play of Andy Barish. If this score were to stay the way it is right now, I'd say he's probably our star of the game. Between he and Eric Reisman, they have done an outstanding job for St. Joe's tonight.
However, we don't have dinner at Giordano's or a Sony Radio for our player of the game, just our hearty congratulations.
And maybe some of that 7-Up that we had in between periods that's sitting outside by the truck.
All the soda you can drink. Here's Morris. Puck is knocked off his stick by Passamonte. Burgess takes a slapper that's kicked out by Barish. The return shot taken by Tolley goes wide, and now it is cleared.
I think there was a mistake right there. The officials made a mistake. One official was signaling for an icing because the man had come out of the penalty box. The other official, anticipating it, blew the whistle, and that's why we'll have the face-off at center ice right now. When that situation happens, you don't want to penalize either team, so you bring the face-off right to center ice, so it's a neutral ground. There we see Brick averaging 7 goals a game this year.
And giving up just 3. Scoring 4 more than they yield. That's why they're 21, 3, and 1. However, St. Joe's has a 3-2 lead. St. Joe's 17, 5, and 1 as they entered play tonight. Less than 10 minutes now to play. Dan Stevens heads out. He's 1-on-2, has a trailer. Stevens tries to go wide, puts on the brakes. Stevens tries to play it in front for Roselle, is intercepted by Gaddy, and Dave Gaddy will just lift it down. St. Joe's now will be content to eat up some time. They'll protect that 1-goal lead. You have to be careful, though. You become very defensive-minded, and you become sloppy, and you let Brick just put on a lot of offensive pressure, and next thing you know, it's even. Madsen, slap shot save made by Barish, wound around the boards by Reisman. Up for Passamonte, he clears. Here's Gaddy pushing it ahead, but Gaddy will come back as they make a change. Kale playing it up to center ice a little too far. Reisman has it. I imagine we'll see Eric Reisman on for a lot of ice time over the remaining 8:40.
Matty, what you're seeing is a very disciplined St. Joe's hockey club. They're playing a good defensive game at the same time, making the rushes when the opportunity arises.
Puck in front, a shot goes wide. John Pagomian just missed a goal that would have given St. Joe's a 2-goal lead. Slap shot and a save made by Kern. Larry Maherter, sophomore winger, taking the shot on goal that Kern came up big on.
Kern was backing up into his net at the time, and he was able to get the quick left glove on it as Maherter wheeled around and took a shot. Here we'll see Maherter with the slap shot. Again, technical difficulties. We apologize for that. But Kern with the quick left glove was able to hold on.
Puck is not clear. Big slap shot and a diving stop was made by John Severini, the defenseman who stepped in front of Rich Schelling. Schelling, I thought, was going to have an uncontested slapper, but Severini dove in front of it. Here's a possible break. Stevens with only Schelling to beat, and Schelling steps in front of Stevens, and Stevens loses possession. 7:45 left to play in a 3-2 game. Stevens looks to break out. Met with a check. Morris has it. Looks to get around Connolly. Morris behind the goal line. Plays it in front for Dowd. But the puck is cleared by Maherter. Dowd along the far boards. Sent in by Tolley. This is Dave Gaddy. Gaddy clears to center ice, intercepted by Dowd. Waits for his teammates to get onside, crosses the blue line. Looks to get around Connolly, goes behind the net. In the corner, and it's stolen away by Passamonte. Adam Passamonte still with it. Plays it ahead for Brandy, across the blue line. Brandy for Passamonte. Passamonte takes a shot that Kern comes up with the save. Kale tries to clear it and does. Spencer Madsen at center ice, plays it back for Kale. Kale sends it in. Deflects off Reisman, but Barish has it.
Matty, not too many whistles. We went through the last 4 or 5 minutes. I think with just 1, so the game is coming along.
6:43 left to play. Long shot on goal. Barish puts the stick down and makes the stop. Here's Schelling. Schelling crosses the blue line with his pass for Maherter. Picked up by Gaddy, who sends it in. Time now starting to wind down quickly. Burgess soft pass off the boards for Roselle. Plays it ahead for Stevens. Stevens has a lot of speed too. And he's been hanging around that center ice area looking for a possible break. No penalty calls. The puck is in front and now it is in. Andre Sork for St. Joe's.
Andre Sork, capitalizing on the loose puck in front, was able to tap the rebound home as there was a big pile-up right in front. We'll take a look at it. Here comes, everybody thought that was going to be a hook, but not in this game at this time. There's Sork with the first shot. It hits a stick, and there we see it trickle over the shoulder and go in.
Went off of the stick of John Severini, and it's 4-2.
Matty, what a shame, because Severini was the player about 3 minutes ago who dropped down in front of the big shot from the point to block the slap shot. And I was going to mention, you think that guy's in the game, he sure is. And here he gets a bear break with a puck bouncing off the stick and then over the shoulder of Kern. And now 4-2 with just 6 minutes to go. Brick has to throw defense to the wind, and they have to come up on offense.
St. Joe's has scored 3 straight goals. They were down 2-1 after one. 2 second-period goals and a goal at 8:48 of the third period has given St. Joe's a 4-2 lead. Now St. Joe's can play a little more defensive-minded. They've got that extra goal to work with. They can just flip the puck in, stand at the blue line, and challenge you to try and break through.
Now they can play that defensive style. Exactly so, Matt. But they're going to have to play defense a little tougher now, as a penalty has just been called against Larry Maherter. And I didn't see what it was for. We'll have to listen.
Penalty to number 7, Larry Maherter. 2 minutes for hooking at 9:18.
Hooking the call. Here's Passamonte, one man to beat, takes a shot on Kern. That Kern comes up with the save on, and then lost sight of it for a little bit as it spun high in the air. Here's Burgess, drop pass for Roselle. Roselle takes a shot that goes wide. Schelling comes out. 2-on-2. Rich Schelling applies the brakes and plays it back for Connolly as St. Joe's looks to eat up some time. 1:25 left in the penalty to Maherter. 5:05 left in the game. There's a stick on the ice. One of the Brick players had lost his stick because we have not had a stoppage in action. No one's had an opportunity to pick it up. Sork checked hard into the boards. Kale has it for Brick. 53 seconds left in the penalty. Sork plays it, or excuse me, Kale playing behind the net. Picked up there by Dowd, tries the stuffer, goes off of Barish, it's behind the net. Here's Madsen. Madsen takes a shot, and a save made by Barish. Glove save by Andy Barish, the sophomore.
Andy Barish had that all the way. He held his ground close to the near post and gloved the easy shot. Here we'll see the spin around, and the shot comes just about at the face-off dot. It's a quick snapshot, and Barish right there as Eric Reisman was behind him just in case he needed any extra help.
35 seconds left in the Maherter penalty. 4:17 left in the game. Cry of let's go Brick from the Dragon supporters. Go home Brick from the Knights. Stevens and Schelling along with Gaddy combining on the puck. It comes free. Craig Connolly with it. Plays it off the boards for himself. Backhands it, not out. Severini sends it back in. 18 seconds left in the Brick power play. Here's Roselle playing it in front for Goleman. A diving, sliding save made by Gaddy, and then the shot and the save made by Barish. We're going to have a delayed penalty called against St. Joseph's. And let's see who will come off. I believe it'll be Dave Gaddy coming off. Gaddy going off for 2 minutes, so it'll be a 2-man advantage for St. Joe's for 2 seconds.
White, minor for tripping. Left his feet on the check.
Tripping the call.
What Jim Flaherty says, he left his feet on the check. You can leave your feet to play the puck, but you cannot leave your feet to play the man. We'll take a look at it. Watch Gaddy right there diving. Now, that's okay, but his follow-through takes the player out, and that's why he's going to sit the 2 minutes.
Now the Maherter penalty is over. 1:55 left in the penalty to Gaddy. 3:35 left in the game.
Matty, Brick could not ask for anything more. 2 power plays in a row, 4 minutes of an advantage. They can't ask for any more to get them back into this game.
Well, 1 2-minute period has gone by. They were unable to score. They are down 4-2. St. Joe's looking to become just the second team to win back-to-back state championships. They lead 4-2 with 3:33 left in the third period.
And St. Joe's is going to take their 1-minute timeout right now.
St. Joe's wants to talk things over. Frank Coran will gather his troops around him, wants to talk things over. Make sure that they know what they want to do in the remaining 3:33. And basically, they want to hold on to this 2-goal lead.
Well, Matty, what he's doing, he's giving his line a rest.
Sure.
In other words, without having to substitute another line, he can keep his top line out there because for the last 3 minutes and 33 seconds because they're getting a 1-minute rest now. So the advantage of the timeout is to keep the best guys on the ice for the rest of the game by giving them a small rest now.
This game concludes the hockey portion of our winter sports season coverage. We'll end the basketball portion with the parochial championships, and the parochial A boys final, Bergen Catholic against Christian Brothers Academy, comes your way Tuesday evening at 10:30 on the TV3 Action Arena. Should be a great matchup. Bergen Catholic beating Seton Hall Prep to advance to the final. The parochial B boys final matches St. Anthony's of Jersey City against St. Peter's of New Brunswick. Third time in a row these two teams have met in the parochial B final. Wednesday night at 9:30, Paul Spahala and Ed Lyons will have the call of that one. Then we'll bring you the girls' parochial finals, A and B. The A game matching Paramus Catholic against Bishop Barr. The B game matching St. Anthony's against St. Peter's. Thursday, following time in at 7:30. That's the 14th. And then we'll end our winter season with the high school wrestling championships from Jadwin Gymnasium in Princeton. Sunday at 2:30 in the afternoon, St. Patrick's Day. 9 o'clock Monday on the 18th. And then we take about a 10-day break and we'll bring you the spring season. Baseball, softball, lacrosse, track and field, and tennis. Here's Dowd. That's an offside. Dowd brought the puck across the blue line, brought it back, and then brought it inside the blue line and an offside.
Mental error there, Matty. Once he brought the puck across the line, he should have continued forward. When he pulled it back like that in order to make a deke around the defenseman, he cost his team a stoppage of play.
1.5 minutes left in the penalty to Gaddy. Brick down by 2. Rich Kale. Pass ahead for Dowd, sent back in by Reisman. Less than 3 minutes to play in the third period. Here's Rich Kale. Kale ahead for Stevens. Stevens goes around Brandy, plays it in front, no one there except Adam Passamonte for St. Joe's. And he'll clear it. And he clears it into the penalty box. And so we'll have a stoppage in action and a face-off with 2:37 left in regulation, 53 seconds left in the penalty. That's the group that got scattered on the attempted clear by Passamonte.
Matty, that was so close to hitting one of those girls in that penalty box area there. Most of the time they're riding down, not looking and following the play. And that puck had to whiz through there at about 60 or 70 miles an hour. Thank God it missed him.
I learned you never take your eye off the puck. Fortunately, as no experience that is frightening. I didn't get hit with a puck, or I really never saw anybody get hit badly with a puck, but I've seen too many instances like that for me to take my eye off the black rubber puck. Here's a play in front and a diving stop by the St. Joe's defenseman, Craig Connolly, stepping in front of Pete Morris. Tolley with the slap shot from the point. Save made by Barish. 27 seconds left in the penalty. Dowd behind the net, looking for someone in front, looked for Burgess. I believe it was Barish had got his stick in front of that pass, deflected it, and enabled a teammate to send it down ice. Reisman sends it on goal, and that'll just about do it for the penalty, as Gaddy will come out of the box, and 1:44 is left in regulation. Offside, as Pregame was caught behind the blue line.
Matty, while we have a moment here, I'd like to thank you and the staff at TV3 for another season here. It seems every year we do more and more games to the delight of our fans, and it's a real pleasure to work with a top-notch crew.
Well, thank you, Peter. We appreciate that. It's a lot of good action we see, a lot of fine teams in our area, the Montclairs, the Seton Hall Preps, Livingston. Of course, this year we saw one of the new teams, Millburn. So they took on Newark Academy. That was a wild and woolly game.
That was a 7-6 game that Paul had the pleasure of calling. They went right down to the wire.
We hope that next year Montclair Kimberly Academy will be back in the ranks. Of course, they dropped the sport for the year due to lack of turnout, but I'm told that they have a tremendous number of 7th and 8th graders that are playing hockey, and that next year and the following year they should be set and back in action, because they've got a very fine tradition.
They sure do.
And next year we hope to be able to bring in the state semifinals. We originally thought we'd be able to do that. It was unable to be worked out, but we will be expanding our high school hockey. It's a lot of fun. 1:12 left to play in regulation. Shot goes wide from the point by Kale. Barring a miraculous turnaround, St. Joe's will win their 2nd consecutive state championship. Barish comes up with a save, and a shot goes wide by Dowd on the rebound. And now the goal comes off its support, and we will have a stoppage in action. And now players...
Now it's getting a little chippy.
They're bumping and pushing each other. I think the Brick players are a little frustrated.
Yeah, and right in the middle of this, Dan Stevens.
And really in the middle of it is Pat Flaherty and Ed Holmes, the officials. Nobody will go to the penalty box. 50 seconds left. The net will be put back on its support.
I think it's Don Meredith who says it's time to go home when the fat lady sings. We're pretty close to that point now.
Eric Kern has come out of the net for Brick. Brick has 6 skaters on the ice. Empty net down the other end of the ice. There it is. As they will try with the extra skater to put a lot more pressure on St. Joe's. Of course, St. Joe's has to battle the temptation to try and aim for that open net. Puck is loose in front. They just want to get it out of that area. Now we have a penalty and a little pushing and shoving going on, and players hitting each other from behind. Frustrations mount. A penalty had been called.
I'm not sure if it was a penalty or a hand pass that had been called, but now for sure we'll get some penalties, as it's just the frustration of the Brick players at this point. And what the players don't realize, Matty, and they should, is that these penalties will carry over to next season. If a fella gets a game disqualification now, he will sit a game next year.
What happens if he gets a 2-minute penalty for roughing? that one does it.
And look at Stevens. He doesn't want to let go as Eddie Holmes is dragging him away.
And now picks up again. Just as things start to clear up a little bit, the players go again.
And there's Dowd.
Pat Flaherty's got a good grasp on one player.
He's got a full Nelson. He must have been watching Gorilla Monsoon the other night. Now, Eddie Holmes taking matters into his own hand. I think they made us call this game. I've seen situations like this when a team is out of control. Just call the game and end it right here, right now. And that may not be a bad idea.
Well, the Brick players are awfully upset, awfully frustrated. some of the fans on the far side starting to get into it a little bit.
It's a shame, Matty. This does not have to happen.
It really is, and it's really odd. I've been working at Suburban now for 4.5 years, and up until this year, had one instance where a fight broke out at an event. And this year, within the last 3 weeks, we had 3 fights involving players and fans in the last 3 weeks. 2 basketball games and now this. Now, hockey lends itself a little bit more toward venting your frustrations, and it's a little more physical. But honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a fight on the high school level. And I know they've happened, and we only do 4 or 5 games a year, but I have never seen one, and I've never seen this happen.
Matty, you don't like to see it. It doesn't happen often. And as you see in the penalty box, there are a lot of yelling and screaming going on. The officials, Ed Holm and Jim Flaherty, now are standing together, and they will decide what the call is going to be. But I'm sure we're going to have a few players thrown out.
35 seconds left in the game. It's a 4-2 advantage for St. Joseph's. They were down 2-1 after 1, and they've scored 3 unanswered goals. 2 in the second period by Eric Reisman, 1 by Andre Sork here in the third. Right now, the officials want to clear all the players away from them as they discuss what goes on. Let's see and give a listen.
Penalties. Number 6, Green. He gets 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct. Number 22, Green. 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct.
He's being very kind, Matty.
16, Green. 2 minutes for elbowing.
16 who?
Green.
You already gave me 16 green.
I'm sorry, number 6 was the first call for roughing.
Oh, the first one was
okay. You have 16 for elbowing. He gets a 10-minute misconduct and a game misconduct.
That's still okay. That means he's just thrown out of this game.
Okay,
with
what's the number?
Only 35. It doesn't matter.
We have 16 white and 17 white. 2 and 10 for rough.
Both? Both have 2 and 10?
So they will skate 3-on-3 for the rest of the game. Only 35 seconds to go, but our officials tonight, Jim Flaherty and Eddie Holmes, who have done a fantastic job, were very lenient with the players on that last situation. They easily could have bounced those 4 players for game disqualifications.
The penalties for Brick, Jim Dowd, 2 minutes for roughing, 10-minute misconduct. Peter Morris, 2 minutes for elbowing, 10-minute misconduct, and a game misconduct. And Dan Stevens, 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct. The penalties against St. Joseph's, Eric Reisman, 2 minutes for roughing and 10-minute misconduct penalty. And Rich Brandy, 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct penalty. And what they've done is, rather than allow things to potentially break out at the end of this game, because only 35 seconds remain, they have asked all those penalized players to leave the ice. They were not going to come back anyway.
Absolutely.
So what they've done is they've asked them to leave the ice.
And go back to the locker room.
Go into the locker room and end it right there. We still have 35 seconds left, however, in the game. So Dowd, Morris, and Stevens have ended their action for the year. Same thing for Brandy and for Reisman. Now the teams will only be 3 aside for the 35 seconds, and that scoreboard is lit up like a Christmas tree.
I'm wondering if Rick's going to pull their goaltender or leave Eric Kern in.
Kern had come out when the play was down the other end of the ice as they tried to get an extra skater on and try to put some more pressure on the St. Joe's goalie. 22 seconds left. Kern tries to headman a pass. Here's Passamonte, open net, and he sends it wide. Has it again, and he sends it wide. A stick has been thrown. Kern threw his goalie stick.
Matty, I believe that's a penalty shot. And that's what they're going to call.
A penalty shot. And I've never seen one of these in high school hockey.
Matty, I've called one in the college league
penalty
this year.
shot, throwing a stick. 22 and away takes the shot.
But I haven't seen one taken so far other than that opportunity there. And I must see about 15 or 20 high school games a year. But Adam Passamonte, who has 28 points so far this year, will take a penalty shot. Here are the rules for a penalty shot, Matty. The player, once he crosses the blue line, must go directly towards the goaltender. He gets one shot, no rebound. The goaltender cannot come out of the crease until he crosses the blue line. Here we go.
And Passamonte fans on the shot.
It would have been icing on the cake, but it doesn't matter. There's only 7 seconds to go. This game is in the bag for St. Joe's.
The face-off will be outside the brick goal. Curran threw the stick simply because he tried to clear a pass. Passamonte intercepted, missed an open net shot, got the rebound, and Curran just said, I know we're going to lose, but I can't give up a 5th goal. So out of frustration, he threw his stick and then stood his ground, backed up into the net a little bit, and Passamonte missed on the penalty shot.
Never really got a good shot off. He was stick handling. He tried to pull it from his backhand to his forehand and just lost control. And once the puck crosses the goal line, either into the net for a goal or on the side, the play is ended.
I noticed that the brick players who were sent off are now back along the boards here. I'm sure they've cooled down sufficiently. Shot at the end of the game by Schelling is saved by Kern, but St. Joseph's successfully defends its state championship as they defeat Brick by a score of 4-2, and they mob their sophomore netminder Andy Barish. Barish called into duty 4 games ago. St. Joe's, as we mentioned earlier, lost a handful of players to injury, some because of academic difficulties. Barish replaced a senior goaltender 4 games ago. Started all 4 games, won all 4, and in the biggest game of those 4, leads his team to a state championship, came up big on several occasions, and helping St. Joseph's to the state championship in 1985 as they defeat Brick by a score of 4-2. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and wrap up tonight's game. Stay with us. The second team in state history to successfully defend its state championship. They've now won 2 in a row. Tonight they defeat Brick by a score of 4-2, and we'll be speaking with Andy Barish, Eric Reisman, and head coach Frank Curran. First, we'll speak with goalie Andy Barish. And Andy, congratulations on the victory. You had to be a little nervous in a big game like this, making just your 4th start.
Yeah, I was nervous because I played them once before, so I knew how they played. I felt I could beat them, but last time I played them, I didn't play that great. I had a shaky start. And I just felt I could beat him, and I'm glad I did.
You got some excellent help from your defensemen. 2 times in particular, you made the initial save, the puck squirted through, and there was a defenseman to clear it off the porch.
Yeah, the defense was always there. They were always there. I wasn't really worried about my rebounds because I know they would pick them up right away, and I'm just, they were just there at the right time.
What was the game plan tonight? What did you talk about on the ride over?
We really didn't talk about that much. Just really silent. We wanted to win.
Well, you certainly did that. Congratulations on the performance, and enjoy the state championship.
Thank you.
Andy Barish, sophomore netminder for St. Joseph's, now stepping down, the big junior defenseman, Eric Reisman. And Eric, it was your 2 goals, particularly that last one with less than a minute to go in the second period, that provided your club with the lift. After that goal was scored, you went into the locker room. What was the attitude between the second and third period?
That it was a tough game, and we couldn't let down. We had to really go for it all. Last game of the season, and we really went for it all.
Any thoughts about the fact that you opened up with a win over Brick the first time you met them, and then they've beaten you the last 2 times? Was a revenge a little bit of a motive?
Sure. Every game is a revenge if they beat us beforehand. I went out being psyched as an underdog, and I proved to be a winner.
It turns out that their 2 goals were scored by 2 members of their high-scoring line. Morris and Dowd scored, but was there any particular effort or attention paid to that first line for Brick?
Sure. Frank told us about that first line. They're a high-scoring team with Jim Dowd, who scored over 100 points. And we try to keep the puck away from him. If he did get the puck, to take the body and just ride him off the puck. And it happened, they only could play with 2 guys. And pretty good.
What about this club? Last year, state champion. You were only tied once in 27 outings. You lost a lot, though. Did you think at the beginning of the year that this was a possibility, another state championship with such a young team?
Not at all. I was just hoping for a 500 season, and I can't believe I'm here.
Well, congratulations on your 2 goals tonight. Congratulations on the team's performance, your performance, and enjoy the state championship.
Thank you very much.
Eric Reisman, 2 goals tonight. His second goal, giving his team a lead. It never relinquished by a score of 3-2. They went into the second, actually between the second and third period. Frankie went in with a 3-2 lead, scored that 4th goal in the third period. This club you have to be awfully proud of. Kind of came out of nowhere. Not too many teams, not too many other teams gave your club much of a shot this year.
Well, it's like I started myself, my wife and I were talking. I said, win or lose, this has to be the finest hockey club in my 23 years of coaching that I've had put together to see them perform and to gel, to they come to a head at this time of the year. They worked for it, they played as a team, and you can't beat a team. You can beat individuals, but you can't beat a team, and that's what they are. The finest hockey club I've ever coached in 23 years.
How did you feel with the changes that your club had to undergo in the late portion of the season? You showed in the beginning part of the year, in the middle part of the year, okay, well, this team is going to gel. We have a good record. We're seeded #1 in the state. And now you have some injuries, some illnesses, some academic difficulties. And now you got to regroup a little bit. Did you think that the team would be able to make such a turnaround and win the state final?
Once, by the time the state started, we were back at full strength, except when we lost a goalie for the semifinals and finals. The rest of the time, there was always a boy on that bench on the 3rd line or the 4th line that could come in and fill in for a spot. That's how good the 3rd and 4th line is. But when teams are playing 2 lines, you have to stay against them. But if I needed a boy, like I needed a John Anderson, or if I needed a Brandy to go back on defense from up front, to give Conley, who played a super game on defense, Conley, Schelling, and Reisman, I think, in my opinion, have to be the 3 finest defensemen in the state. I mean, they work out there and they play a great game for us. So I could pick a kid, Schelling, I could take a Brownfield, I could take an Elia, and fill into a spot to gel with that line till something happened, to rest the man, to do something. And that's what part of teamwork is. And every one of them, whoever we put, even like Andy, when it was Andy's turn to come into goal, everybody would say, oh my God, we lost our best goaltender. All this did to this team was rally around Andy. And Andy showed that he's had the potential, and I know he's good. And next year, he's going to be the best goalie in the state.
Well, he helped this club tonight, helped your team to the championship, a fine all-around team performance, and we congratulate you on successfully defending that crown. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the second one as much as the first.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here. Hope to be back again.
Okay. Coach Frank Horan, the coach of St. Joe's, the state champion here in 1985 as they defeat Brick by a score of 4-2. And Pete, boy, this is an exciting game. And even at the end, it took a little bit away from it, but all in all, you look back at this game and say, what an exciting final.
We saw everything tonight. A good checking game, a good skating game. The final 4-2, we saw 6 goals. Tonight's game was a matchup of the 2 best teams in the state, and St. Joe's showed without a shadow of the doubt that they are the premier team right now.
And they did it by coming from behind. They gave up that early goal with a little over a minute gone. It was Jim Dowd scoring to give them the lead. They tied it up less than a minute later. Then they late goal in that first period. They wind up down 2-1. They scored the last 3 goals to win. So they didn't come from behind fashion. That's tough against a club like Brick.
Brick, with Kern, a senior goaltender with the varsity experience, they did a job on him. They beat him with some real nice passes and real nice shots, and Andy Barish was phenomenal. For a sophomore, I thought he was a little shaky in the first period, but once he built up his confidence, he was coming out challenging the shooters. He challenged Dowd and Spencer and Madsen repeatedly and beat them every time.
He did indeed, and he helped his club, as we mentioned, to that victory tonight in the state final, 4-2 the final score. And that wraps up our coverage. As we said earlier, our final high school hockey game of the year. The 84-85 season was a lot of fun. And Pete, again, we thank you for all your help.
You're welcome, Matty.
And that wraps it up from the Mennen Arena. For Pete Caggiano, I'm Matt Lachlan. Again, our congratulations to St. Joseph's. They're the state champion again. In 1985, they defeat Brick in the final by a score of 4-2. So long, everyone.